hero themed virgins.
It's going up.
And peasants.
No, we're not peasants anymore.
Welcome back to Krown's Magical.
We're farmers.
No, I'm a farmer. But that's okay.
God damn it. A new one. A new fucking intro for the love of God. Anyways, welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. I've had a dastardly night of which I got very little sleep. Tossing and turning, thinking about all sorts of terrible things in the overnight session. However, as far as price action goes, things are actually rather, I'm not going to say easy. There is no such thing as easy. There's no such thing as fucking easy, I can tell you that. But perhaps a little bit more clear, let's say, in the short-term timeframes, as yesterday we kind of avoided that topic in lieu of more obvious signals. So with that in mind, I do want to be getting into that, obviously following up on perhaps a little bit of the higher-term timeframe analysis as well. Obviously, the video from yesterday and actually the day prior, so that'd be Saturday and Sunday in the long-term analysis playlist, is still very much relevant for the people looking for a more macro-infused analysis. And we might touch on a very small portion of it today. But other than that, it's going to be more or less a focus on the short-term timeframes and what to kind of expect for this next 24 to 72 hours, basically the next day to 3 days as we lead up into the FOMC meeting, of which I do expect a lot of volatility kind of heading into that yet again. So we have our next big catalyst essentially, and then game on, if you will. Anyways, I want to say welcome to everyone and good morning to everyone out there as well. Holy shit, man, a good amount of people in here already on a rather slow day, let's say, a little bit of a bouncy bounce getting going, which very likely can get actually a little bit more on top of that as well. But 618 people watching, 150 likes on the video. We're doing well. We're doing fucking well. I see Tom Struct as well over there. I can actually just get into this right now, especially during the pre-stream sort of chill session right here as I sip on my good old caffeine. See a lot of familiar faces. Matador MC, what's up, brother? And Durian Style Exteriors, my neighbor to the south right there. Zaxi MS Acid Monkey. Hey, that sounds familiar. What's up, Greg Daniels? Crypto Med. Who else do we have? Sinegra, there he is. Should I bring back options with Bybit? The problem is I can't live trade on stream. So if I do options on Bybit, it would have to be testnet. Otherwise, that can be kind of construed as like, I mean, it's a gray area. Probably nothing would happen, but technically speaking, you could make the case that that's a bit of financial advice. Anyways, I see a really good question here from Tom Struct, who's asking, 3-month caveman asks, is there a true fixed frame of reference in the markets, or is it always relative to Dixie, basically like fiats? So you could use other things to measure. It really comes down to what you believe in as like a hard asset that is worthwhile to measure against. Personally speaking, I think the dollar is the one to be going off of because right now the US is the number one country, right? And it's the world leader as far as monetary stuff goes. So to me, that's the right one to be going off of. But you could make the argument that that charting Bitcoin, for example, which is what I'm guessing you're interested in, or whatever your favorite asset is, you could chart it against perhaps like a gold, for example, as kind of like a general store of value, or you could even chart it against what I would think is even a better fit would be like the major Boris for U.S. markets, which would be like SPY, for example, right? And so that way you can get a little bit more of like an asset versus asset, which, you could argue that might be a little bit more accurate in terms of like real value. But at the end of the day, I live my lives in dollars and euros, I guess. And I imagine most of the people do out there as well. So it's just the most relevant, if you will. And so that is always going to be the most realistic and also like tangible, valuation as far as I'm concerned. Again, other people can make other arguments against that. I totally understand that. But just in my opinion, because, when I go to the fucking supermarket and I pay for my shit, when I pay for my pounds and my kilos of beef, it is in euros and also in dollars if I go to America, obviously. So for me, that makes more sense. For other people, you might denominate in perhaps like gold, for example. I've seen that. You can definitely make an argument for that. You can also make an argument for like the major Boris of the world, which is, basically SPY, S&P. Anyways, let me just, I see Mr. Gaylord. Holy shit, man. What's up, Mr. Gaylord? JU, Logic Troll. There he is. Interlock King, the cave indeed, man. We're back, baby. Suck me, sir. Undoubtedly. Oh my God. Who is... I was gonna say undoubtedly the best YouTube name in the history of fucking names, but we have Suck Me Sir and Mr. Gaylord. Who would win that battle? Who would win that battle? I love it, man. I fucking love it. That is amazing. That is absolutely fucking amazing. God damn. And then we got Tree City West, Zaxi, Gabor. Good morning, fellas. Good morning indeed. An Evo Tesseract. I only buy things with edibles. There you go. Measure it in weed. God damn. That is funny. Dixie pumping too. I actually haven't checked on it this morning, but we'll definitely cover into it. In fact, maybe I should kind of set that one up just so that I actually know where we're at on that one. Let's see. Is it pumping? I really don't like using lower term timeframes here. It's still within the same sort of area that I would be generally looking for on a pullback. So let's actually set this back up on over here. I want to get to the lower term timeframes first as I kind of reference my notes. How's that coffee today, man? It's good. It's good. I'm very easy to please when it comes to coffee, but most importantly, my heart is not pounding and making me think that I might die. However, I can tell you this guy from the community, great guy, amazing guy, but I've been working out with him the past couple weeks here in Helsinki, and this guy just kicks my ass, and from 2 fucking days ago, he just absolutely shredded my arms, and like I could barely type yesterday, and today I'm like still feeling it. At least I'm not cramping today, which is good, but man, I feel like a bitch just like barely being able to do that, man. Just pathetic. Anyways, magnesium for heart palpitations. Yeah, man, I was actually on that. You know what's funny, Kevin Svet, is that that day I took like probably way too many magnesium pills because I read on the internet it's going to be good for it, and I started to have like daydreaming sort of, you know how like your mind goes off when you start to like be lulled into sleep. I feel like the magnesium, especially the nighttime one, which is what I got here because I didn't know what Elta meant, which apparently means night, and so it's making me a little bit drowsy, man. I really love reading the trolling of the scammers on Instagram. Massive thank you for that, Orlando Phoenix. And this would be a good point for me to kind of once again remind the community here, hey, on Instagram there's a bunch of scammers there. In person, my accounts, it's massively annoying. I apologize for all of the for all of the annoyances that is brought into the world, or at least into the more immediate world that I'm aware of. And I can assure you that it's not me. The only Instagram account that I have is in the link in the description below if you like happen to give a fuck about my personal life, which it's pretty boring, man. It's pretty fucking boring, I'll warn you. Anyways. Try potassium iodide for the cramping. Interesting. I've probably eaten enough potassium, seeing as I eat about a kilo of pineapple a day as my fruit intake. Krown, you're not managing my portfolio right now? What is this? Yeah, man, I don't have any secret funds or anything like that. Not only would that be like literally fucking illegal, but also I have my hands full trading my own accounts. And to me, like, it's never really made too much sense to trade, other people's accounts for them, except for like, I guess the one big thing that you do get if you were to do that is you just get paid a management fee. So no matter what, you make money. But for me, man, it's like I'm going to have the added risk, basically having a boss as well. And you only get like a percentage of the profits anyways. So it's like, I'm more than happy to trade my own account. Anyways, holy shit, there's even a scammer in here right now. That is insane, man. Holy fuck. Yeah, these guys are out of control. I mean, here's the thing. Like, seriously, if you are that person, it's probably just a bot to be fair. But if you are that person, like, there's so much effort that's going into these crypto scams. Like, you could have mastered anything by now because this has been going on for years. Like, you could be the fucking Michael Jordan of, well, basically anything, I suspect, with the amount of effort that I see going into these goddamn scams. Just insane, man. Yeah, it's like a WhatsApp. I've also seen scammers impersonating me and then trying to get like other projects to promote their project for them, and like every once in a while they do. So it's like the scams scamming the scammers, and then they come back to me and they're like, hey man, what the fuck, we paid you for advertisement and you didn't do it. I'm like, that wasn't me, man. That actually wasn't me. Anyways, yeah, scammers gone insane, man. He's the Jordan the scammers. They're doing I mean, it must be working though. That's the crazy thing. Like, I would assume that they wouldn't waste that much time doing it for years now without having some sort of success or results. But man, we live in fucking crazy times, I guess. Apparently easier money than crypto. I mean, I guess you really only need one person to fall for it to make it like worth your while. It's probably a bot. And actually, I was reading that it's specifically with these sort of scammers, they actually intend to be like as stupid looking as possible and like as obvious looking as possible, so that the only people that fall, like the only people that kind of get caught in their web are like the people who actually might, go through with it. But I guess that's just the internet, man. Shitty, but that is the reality that we live in, unfortunately. Yeah, there you go. That is correct. Potassium, magnesium combo plus avoid alcohol, sugar. Yeah, I don't. I do drink probably too much caffeine, but no alcohol. And I basically eat like a carnivore-ish type of diet. So it's just meat and fruit actually. So no like external sugars or direct ones, like the processed ones basically. Tower of Giza, nice one, man. I also see the scammers like in the comments also having like ongoing conversations with the other scammers. It's really insane. Big egg roll, welcome to the cave, sir. I apologize for taking a little bit of extra time here, but like I said, I desperately needed this caffeine today because did not get enough sleep last night, and looks like my camera is being all sort of wonky. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deactivate it and then reactivate it, and there we go, looking better. I wonder why that happens. Must be something with the data feed going on right there. Because I'm a peasant, says Elsa. Maybe so, maybe so. Okay, let me just make sure that I got all my charts set up over here so that we can get through this nice and lovingly. We're gonna start off with the short term first. Okay, yep, we got that. Actually, we're gonna start it off over here on a daily because I think that would be a good way to get this one going. Start this one also over here on a daily as well. And then we wanna be over here as well. I actually thought it was very interesting today to see the short-term funny rates actually positive right now. Kind of bizarre, as I was expecting them to be a little bit more on the negative side, especially if this rally does get a little bit more legs, which I think it very likely could. But again, anything before Wednesday to me is just, it's just noise, really. Oh man, we got Hex from Mr. Moo. Man, Mr. Moo, I've seen you in the Discord earlier. You like to spend a lot of time in that political garbage channel. Be fucking careful, man. Be fucking careful. Charles Fuck says Elsa is a scammer. It could be. It could be. Those innocent laughs, man. Who knows where they're coming from? And we got Mr. Gay and Mr. G, and we also got some G as well. This is the best, man. This is the best. What the fuck, Krown? I was supposed to get 10,000 Krown coins for that 1 point Bitcoin I sent you. Sorry, man. I think that one's lost to the other. Prostitutes and tons of weed. It's bad. This is Mr. Key.
Pretty good to me.
Yeah. The crazy thing is my scammer accounts, they also follow me as well. To like, I guess they have to like copy all the content first and then they can go and do it. Don't think working girls count as scammers. Oh, you. The mic doesn't need to be so close to your mouth. Does it? I mean, I think it needs to be like about a fist away, and that's about a fist away, man. But I don't know. It's been working pretty well up until now. I don't know, unless if anyone else has like an issue with it. Perhaps I'll just write that one off as maybe not that big of a deal. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll listen to the community here. I dig your trading style. It's a bit different than mine. Yeah, man, everyone's naturally going to have different trading styles. Although I don't really talk too much about my personal trading styles on these particular videos. I basically am just doing general market analysis. So as always, a casual reminder that general market analysis, very much different than trading. Actual trading is, it's in my case, is completely unrelated to any sort of my, especially higher term time frame analysis. What I should let you know though, is that I am going to be putting out a video maybe this week. Yeah, maybe this week. We'll decide. Yeah, probably tomorrow, maybe, on how I kind of go about setting up like a trade plan. That way, we can actually talk about that directly. And I'll even go over like a what's it called, like a generic trade plan as well, and we'll go ahead and back test it together. Funnily enough, when I recorded the video, like I wasn't expecting it to work, but it was okay enough to probably work, which is kind of insane, kind of strange, man. That's why you test things. That's why you fucking test things. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. Let's get into it right now. I am going to, yes. Okay, so let's start it off with Bitcoin. As always, we have a big catalyst this week with the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. That is very likely going to produce a major move within this market outside of our current daily range. Daily range, of course, still with the same lows that we do see in this blue box right here between about, basically your low $37,000 region. And to the upside, we got our highs coming in right around about 41,500 or so, if you do want to be exact. With that in mind, the short-term timeframes in between then is probably going to be, a little bit of a wild card here. Although short-term, I do want to state that we have a few things that do suggest that Bitcoin can very easily get a leg up here. I want to be deliberately clear before we get into this one because because while I am going to talk about potential upside targets from here, the overall higher term time frame analysis is still very much the same. If you did watch Saturday or Sunday's video, essentially all of that, plus actually a little bit more as we got the weekly closure officially for spot price action, has actually increased at least my look towards the downside. But in between there, you know, can we get a rally up anywhere to $40,000 to $41,000? Definitely possible. However, I wouldn't necessarily just blindly call that. But for right now, it should be known that on the daily right here, we do have a potential third drive of bullish evidence being formed. That'll be confirmed with the daily closure, especially anywhere here or higher. Preferably, I'd like to see it specifically above about $39,000. But technically speaking, if it is anywhere here or higher, that will populate, and we will very likely see an extension somewhere up around $40,000 and test that 21x moving average. Again, that doesn't really change anything on the higher term timeframes, but that is, you know, a decent sized move from here. Obviously, I'm getting to record this video a little bit later, but because we could have called this one out like well, when price action was obviously like a lot lower, but in this case, you know, time is what it is. On top of that, we should also denote that over here on our stochastic momentum chart, we will notice that on the daily, stochastic momentum will actually turn back up with any sort of a closure today above 38,650 or so. So if Bitcoin does essentially close above basically where we're at right now, not only will we have 3 drives of bullish divergence, but also stochastic momentum also headed up right here, you know, very likely does take another leg up somewhere between about $40,000 to $41,000, kind of where I'd be looking for. Why is that? Because that is essentially, if I get rid of this area right here, because that is not relevant towards what I'm talking about, but if we look at a fib from the overall range, that would be essentially between the 0.5 and the 618. You know, we do see the daily 21, or sorry, not the daily 21, but the daily 55 coming in down around about 41.5 or so right now. So anywhere in this blue box would be fair game right here. I feel like I had a chart on this one earlier though, but yeah, whatever. Somewhere around there is where I'd be looking for if Bitcoin were to initiate that move. Again, long term though, I still have my reservations about, you know, any sort of reversal from this region. I do think that the long term still has significant downside risk, but the targets alongside that is where I could come into maybe a little bit of hopium, because as it is right now, if we go reference the fear and greed index, you know, the market's definitely on the fearful side, as you would imagine. And realistically, at least from what I've gathered on social media venues, it really does feel like most people are looking down. Most people are looking down. Again, that could just be my sort of what's it called, echo chamber. So again, you know, let me know if you're kind of noticing the same things, but from the people that I've spoken to, they kind of notice the same things as well. And to me, that gives one of two indications: either Bitcoin front runs, you know, any sort of major downside targets, or it absolutely fucking has a nuclear explosion well below. So, you know, what I'm looking at right now, or what I think a lot of these, you know, the big downside targets, at least that I see other people putting out, which are not my downside targets actually, would be about $15,000 to $20,000, kind of what I see rather regularly. So I think that that's actually rather unlikely. I think that if Bitcoin's gonna have a major move down, probably still somewhere around about 25, and if it were to have the nuclear explosion, then, well, probably not even worth talking about at that point. Anyways, let's go through the lower term timeframes a little bit more right here and kind of build out this case for for potential short-term continuation based upon specifically that daily closure that we analysized earlier. For the 6 hour right here on CME, which as always I use CME for Monday and Tuesday specifically because it does have better results for its just general signals. We actually do see 6 hour stochastic momentum still pointed to the downside below about 39.6. That is massively contrary to what we do see on spot price action right here with upside momentum above 37.5. What does it essentially equate to? Very likely a range for these next few days here between about 37.5 and basically that $40,000 number is kind of where I'm looking at. But I'll go back on over here and go to the 4 hour, of which we do see the 4 hour will turn up today, or sorry, not today, but upon closure above 39,250 or so, which is certainly within striking distance. So do keep an eye on that number. 3 hours also going to be showing upside above 38.5, and hourly is going to be showing... It's going to be showing a loading screen. Is also going to be vertical above about 38.5 as well. So I do like that for essentially, you know, probably a little bit more short-term continuation right here. That does play into one of the other points of hopium that I do have, which is Dixie, of course. Or actually, let me just pull up this chart right here, which Dixie has hit the long-term macro target, like actually exceeded mine before a bit of a pullback all the way up to almost 104 right here. Again, a long-term region, typically speaking. It's going to grind this area out and then very likely pull back. Pullbacks can very easily happen towards about 100 to 101 and not really do anything. I am long-term macro bullish on this, looking for continuation in the next few years to come towards like 110, maybe even 120, as long as Dixie is above about $97. Until then, Short term, do we see a pullback from here? I mean, honestly, on the short term, if we go to a daily, it's actually not really given any indication that it's doing that just yet, but I do suspect that it gives at least one more try up, probably gets rejected there. In this case, I do want to see daily BBWP get below that moving average before I do look for that contraction phase. I always avoid using shorter term timeframes, but to be fair, for what it's worth on the short term timeframes, it actually is suggesting at least one more drive up towards our current highs. And if I could get rid of this, that'd be great, which is, basically that 103.8 region. So very likely another move up around there. And then we probably see resolution on this around Wednesday when the FOMC meets. On top of that, what else should I get into? So we spoke about that. We spoke about potential targets. And now I want to, we actually have plenty of time right here. Let me turn down the volume for a second here. And let's get into perhaps the long term as to why I'm not really, why I don't really think that this is all that meaningful, to be quite frank with you. Okay, so first and foremost, higher term timeframes. We go over here to a 5-day or a weekly. Both of them are pretty much same chart right now. Bitcoin long-term bearish as long as we are specifically below about $44,000. Why is $44,000 a big number right here? Or sorry, $42,000, a big number right here. It's due to this chart, among other charts as well, which is the monthly MACD chart that I've been bringing out. A very simplistic chart. We can obviously make this a lot more complicated, but I think it's going to do it for today at least. And why am I specifically picking out about $41,500 to $42,000? That's exactly where that white moving average is. That's a 20 simple, and as long as Bitcoin is below it, I am looking for monthly continuation to the downside over the next few months. Doesn't mean it's going to happen today. In fact, today, like I said, probably rallies, or at least a little bit more, with those areas in mind. But if we go and analysize this chart, if you will, we've seen this same signal 3 times in Bitcoin's history, not including this current one. That is the monthly MACD crossing the downside. I've marked them off with the green vertical bars right here, and that plus the PMAR getting below the moving average right here, also pretty damn bad, but we don't need to focus too much on that right now. This will get the job done for this particular explanation. And then when we do go over into the chart, once that green bar happens, again with the monthly MACD crossing the downside, it is then the monthly getting a full-on closure below that white moving average, the 20 simple, that does catalyze the next major meltdown, typically, or not typically, but each and every time in Bitcoin's history. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen like that, but probability is rather high, at least for what we have right now, to the green 55 exponential moving average, which is much lower than price action right now. And as you can see over here, boom, closes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 months, finds its lows, spends, about half a year grinding out those lows, but, that was the low if you were patient, which I am not. Anyways, going on into 2018, same thing over here, right? Monthly MACD crossing the downside, represented by that green vertical bar. Bitcoin closes ever so slightly below the white 20 simple right there. And then the next couple months, Bitcoin finds its lows again on the 55. Same thing over here. A little bit of a nuance on this one. However, in January of 2020, we get the monthly MACD crossing the downside. That was 2 months before the Rona dump, the old flu dump right there. And then, it closed below the 20 simple, but it also hit the 55 and even wicked well below there, all on the same drive. Again, a bit of a, black swan, if you will. So, kind of a difference on that iteration, but still same sort of idea with finding its lows on extreme volatility towards that region. Anyways, for what it's worth right now, as long as Bitcoin is below specifically that white moving average, which is currently 41.5 actually, I do look at any sort of a rally towards that region as, very likely the next lower high before continuation to the downside, and probably sucking up people into bullishness when when the higher term timeframes say that that is not the right thing to be doing right now. That would also imply that any sort of a closure on the next month, this month of May coming into June, above that region, and we could probably start to talk about mega macro bull traps not bull traps, bear traps, with targets back up towards $58,000 to $62,000. Until that happens, though, again, the downside does have higher probabilities. Alongside, of course, if we reference monthly stochastic momentum over here, this one also closed with more downside momentum. We'll be remaining with that as long as Bitcoin's below 55,300. And of course, if we do bring up this godforsaken chart over here as well, by the way, should reference before I get into that, the green 55 is down around about $25,000. That's where I'm getting that sort of macro potential target if Bitcoin does get major moves to the downside. Again, very likely to see bounces along the way. Basically 37, kind of, we're already spending our time around there. Obviously 34 to 30, basically 34 to 33, and then of course we got 29 to 30 or so. But the other big chart that I want to bring out that has also had a bit of a new thing to be speaking about right here is, of course, the 5-day chart. The 5-day chart, which I've gone over a million goddamn times, is doing what? Well, we are seeing Oh, god damn it. This 5-day volatility expansion is still kind of trudging its way along. I still want to see a full-on closure, not just above the moving average, but with both the moving average and the BBWP having a positive slope. For right now, it's not so. However, we have like another 3 days until closure, so it's not super relevant right now. I suspect that is probably going to rise up very likely once we get that FOMC meeting on Wednesday, which I believe is also around closure as well. Anyways, for the last couple years, anytime that we have seen 5-day BBWP measuring volatility, the dispersion of returns down around the teens and percentiles, the expansion phase from that has led on to an average move of about 45% for about, on average, about just over 40 days to the upside or the downside from that expansion point. Again, we actually haven't seen the expansion point just yet. We're gonna have our first chance right here on this next closure to see that. I want to see both of them have a positive slope, and then very likely looking at explosive move in the next 5 to 10 days if that gets confirmed. And the reason why I'm biased towards the downside based off of this chart is because the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator has gone the correct direction alongside that first major move off of volatility expansion perfectly for the past couple of years. Again, doesn't mean it's always gonna be like that, and we can even back test it further than that, which I can assure you it has pretty good results still. But ultimately, we can forecast what sort of price action would need to close on that next 5-day in order to force the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator back onto the upside, and that would be 44,250. Again, 44,250. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, again, pressure to the downside. I would just even go as far to say 41,500 if you just want a nice, nice number to kind of be looking for. Until then, rallies up to that region, definitely fine. Short-term timeframes do suggest, maybe some more continuation here could very easily happen, but ultimately, as long as this is downside angled, I will continue to favor the long-term downside just off of statistics and probabilistic standpoint. Anyways, on top of that, obviously on the weekly, sorry, we did not talk about this on the weekly. The weekly as well is getting its first cross to the downside on stochastic momentum for the first time basically since the highs in November, which not so great. And that will also be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 44,200. I think it's also the same thing on CME. Basically 44,000 in this case. Both crossing down though, and that is what is important right here. So again, if Bitcoin does get a nice rally this week, especially early this week, I do expect them to be arrested somewhere around 40 to 41.5. If Bitcoin starts to close above 41.5 on a daily, well, not only do you have that monthly level come to play, but you also have the 0.5 and of course those prior range highs. That would be a good indication that this market actually or very possibly could put in a major macro bear trap right here. I think it's very unlikely, personally speaking, but that would be the criteria I'd be looking for within that case. Until then, short-term timeframes are showing potential continuation right here. 12-hour, I believe, has already confirmed its third drive of bullish divergence. So in this case, you already hit the easy target on that one. The next one would be basically just above $40,000 actually. So I do think that these first few days of this new week probably do trade up here, and then FOMC is where you get the real direction on the market. Anyways, I'll leave it on that note. I forgot to shill Bybit alongside my Instagram. Bybit, blah, 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 blah. They got $3,000 to $4,000 deposit bonus. Be aware that most people are going to lose their money trading, so you probably shouldn't do it unless you actually have a working strategy, which you can do without actually risking money by backtesting, which I'll put in a video sometime this week. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Nice one, man. Let me just finish this one off. Today's actually going to be very interesting as well, particularly for myself, because if we look at altcoins, I expect to see altcoins kind of giving away the direction in advance here. So let's see what we got going on. Let me just scroll up and find. I think we have Susie Lee is first. Yeah, Susie Lee is first. All right, Susie. Let me just get rid of some of these charts here that are taking up some real estate. Okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. We only need these two. And you're looking at Axes, I'm guessing. Yeah, AXS. Yes. Yeah, this is one that we haven't looked at in a while because I think people don't give a fuck about it when it goes down. and yeah, this is it's probably going to bounce here. Probably gonna have a short-term time frame bounce, but long-term, I would certainly not call a low. Bounces can very easily come up towards 33 and a quarter, maybe even 35. But long-term, if I'm looking at the daily, if I'm looking at the weekly, I am looking for downside continuation. Probably finding a potential low somewhere around about 19 to 21. 19 to yeah, like $21 or so. That's more long-term, obviously. Daily, atrocious, just fucking awful, absolutely fucking awful. There's Absolutely fucking awful. The only thing that would make me change my mind on this chart and actually be bullish on it, look at this as a massive macro bear trap, kind of similar to Bitcoin, would be with a daily closure back above about $49 to $50. Until then, all rallies are just short-term bounces before continuation of the downside. If I'm looking at an hourly, if I'm looking at a 4-hour, I think that you probably get another try up here. Like I said, could very easily hit 33, maybe even as much as 35. But ultimately, I do look at this as not great. The long term. See what the monthly looks like. That's a problem. that's a fucking problem right there. What about a 5-day? Yeah, 5-day. Again, you are within a short-term bouncy area, no doubt about that. But again, do not confuse bounce with the reversal. Reversal talk is banned. It's fucking banned as long as you're below $50, at least in the way that I look at things. This to me is an emerging macro downtrend as you get your first lower high and you get your first lower low confirmed, especially with the advent of last week's closure. So yeah, not great. Cool. Crypto Moo says, good morning, Krown. Hex on the 4 on daily, please. All right, man. You asked for it, though. Let's see what we got over here. In fact, last week, I remember we did say that it was likely to... Oh, I just typed in Moo. My apologies. I remember last week, actually, it was looking like it was going to put in a rally somewhere around 20 cents or so. Let's see if we got that rally. Yeah, well, pretty close. 19 cents thus far. Not bad, though. See what the daily looks like. Does this one get another try up? Actually, I look at this one as okay here, or at least I give it the benefit of the doubt and actually having a much better move than most other things, especially as long as you're below, not below, but above yesterday's low, which is 15 spots, 75 cents. I do think that it probably gets another try up somewhere around 19, maybe even 20 cents or so. Other than that, where does this one really start to turn around and do something completely different than the rest of the market and, dare I say, massively macro bullish with targets up well north of 20 cents? Let's see. Can we do this on a daily? Any sort of a closure above yesterday's high, or any sort of a daily closure above about 18.5 cents, and yeah, I would actually be looking for this one to go on a nice run towards like 23, maybe even a quarter. That'd actually be pretty damn good, to be fair. So yeah, monthly did okay, I guess. Let's see, bi-weekly. Yeah, I mean, this one actually has more signals that do suggest it probably gets at least one more try to the upside. I would switch around to being to looking at this as a bull trap with any sort of a move back below yesterday's low, very specifically. Until then, got to give it the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. All right. Let's see. Let me just scroll back here. We got I Can Trade stuff. It says Doug the Fiboswani and Ted videos. Awesome, man. Yeah, they are. They're great, man. I'll be having them back, regularly, assuming that they're cool with coming back, of course. But good friends. Gonna keep doing them as frequently. Yeah, in fact, actually just hired a guy to help me book like interviews because I want to get a little bit more into that because I think it's just good to kind of branch out and see how like other people do things as well. Because my way of doing things is certainly not the only way. Anyways, when Simps, when Pimps, I had to take a bit of a break from that just because there's a few other things that I kind of need to get to beforehand that do take priority right now. So maybe like mid-June we'll get back on that. Anyways, you're looking at BSV. Oh dear Lord. Okay, so I can't trust anything that you said now. BSV, Bitcoin SV. So this is Satoshi's vision. Couldn't have. Was that their first choice of a name? Worst chart that we've seen so far today. Again, this one can rally up alongside the rest of the market, even into like the low 80s, 80 to maybe even as much as 84, 85. But I am massively macro bearish on this one as long as you're below $100 with likely continuation of the downside, probably somewhere down around your May 2019 lows at about $65 or so. But short term or relatively short term on a daily. Don't even have bullish divergence being formed right here. What about a 4-hour as you did request? 4-hour might get another try up towards $80, but I would not count this one. I'm massively macro bearish on this one below $100. So any rally towards the mid 80s to me is just another lower high, very likely to continue to the downside over time. The monthly is just absolutely fucking atrocious. This is like a market cycle macro top being constructed right here, at least in the way they look at things. Can I be wrong about that? Yes, absolutely. Again, I will be confirmed wrong on that above $100. Until then, targets remain and risk remains lower, I do believe. All right, sweet. I see Nikki Page. What's up, Nikki Page? Good morning to you. Let's see. Crypto Forever 2019. Nice. Buy swap. Okay. BSW. All right. This one's a new one for me. Okay, we'll try it. 4 hour and daily. Very, very new. Again, daily on a chart like this, I don't have any analysis for it. It's just too new. If we go to a 4 hour, maybe a little bit more. Again, still pretty, pretty sparse with history here, obviously. Is there maybe another exchange that we could go to? Maybe CoinEx, bless you, sir. This one, actually even less, even less. Look, long term, very bearish, below about 1.25. I even think that you probably just hit another local high where you're at right now and probably come back down to your 105 lows. Other than that, I really don't have strong opinions on charts out of this new. But if you put a gun on my head, I'm generally going to be bearish on it below about 1.25. Above 1.25, I do think that this one probably rallies up towards 1.5. So until then, I'm generally looking at this as your next lower high. You're going to start to create some lower term time frame hidden bearish divergence with any sort of a closure below 110 in the short term with targets back down to your lows. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Reshab says, hello, sir. What's up, man? Hope all is well with you as well, sir. Could you check out silver? Your $22 target was hit. All right, I don't know when the fuck this one was, man, but it moves slow like molasses, just like gold, but we can definitely check it out. Hey, there's that $22 target. Nice. Okay. The thing is that just like is that this one typically trades with gold, and I'm not macro bearish on gold. I'm macro bullish on gold, just with a long-term consolidation. This one kind of the same thing as well. This month I'd just be looking for a range between about 23.5 highs and about 21 and 3/4 lows. What time? Okay, you're looking at high term time frames, weekly and monthly. Let's go to weekly. Weekly, I think that you're probably going to bounce off this area yet again, somewhere around 22 to 21 and 3/4. I don't think it's going to actually like full on breakdown from here, being this area right here. To be fair, let me just get rid of that. Hopium is negated. The hopium was never there, but somewhere right around here, I'd probably be looking for bounces. I would really only be concerned about this one if you start to close below 21 and 65 cents or so. At that point, I do look for further downside towards about 19.5. But again, what do I think's a little bit more likely to happen here? Probably something like this. Blah 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 blah. Maybe eats up another few years, who knows, and then maybe gives another try to the upside. Bullish, very, very bullish, back above about $26. Until then, probably looking at a macro range for a while. Martin Hunt he has silver's brother. He has gold. All right, yeah, let's check this one out. I'm gonna guess it's probably similar here. Probably closed the month on a down note, and it did, and I think this one actually will trade a little bit further south. Let's see. Did my LARP lines get hit there? No, it's superseding my LARP line. So who's wrong? Definitely not me. No, just kidding. So Krown is wrong on this one, or at least, hold on. No, I'm still macro bullish on this. At least let's reference the monthly. Yeah. I do think that you're going to trade a little bit further south here, though. Probably somewhere around the 618 retracement, which is like 1875, somewhere between about 1860 to 1875 or so. And I would be looking for a bounce right there. That's where things probably do get a little bit frisky, if you will. Apologies. And again, this is all on a closing base. So you might see a wick down to like 1850, to be fair. But long term, I still look at this one as bullish. The question is, do you spend some time consolidating into a higher low here at about 1875, or do you actually drop back down to your prior accumulation region or reaccumulation region, which is about 1790 to 1750 or so? I would really only look for that if you get like a weekly closure below 1850. Until then, I think that you probably got another grind out of your lows right here. Somewhere around those monthly levels, which again is 1870, I think, 1870 to 1860, and I would be looking for a bounce there. To be fair, long term, still bullish on this one, but again, as we've been saying, like, this one's gonna take a long fucking time. It's gonna take a really, really long fucking time. I wouldn't be surprised to see it like not make its move until maybe at earliest end of this year, probably more like 2023. Only bearish below about 1750 long term. So until that happens, I am still long term bullish, but just probably gonna take a long time, man. If I had to guess. We have Dato. Dato is that how you say him? Yes, I'm doing it. Dato Kenneth Kolb. Can look at Matic, please? I can, but it'd be massively beneficial to call it some time frames. Otherwise, I don't know what the fuck you're looking at, man. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. This month, might rally back up to 130 to 140 region, but I would be looking for highs there. daily can very easily rally up in the next couple days towards like 117 to 120. But again, I do look at this one as breaking down long term, and I do look at it as more likely to hit back down around towards a buck. Probably finding a potential low maybe around like 70 to 75 cents long term. Again, I don't know what time frame you're on. I don't know what's relevant to you. Maybe you're on short term time frames. Again, short term, I think it probably rallies up at least a little bit more here. Like very short term, probably like 115 for what it's worth. But yeah, man. Bearish long term, as long as you're specifically below 160. Maybe if you want a little bit more, hoping 150, but yeah, not great as long as below there. This again looking macro toppy. Cool, or maybe not cool for you. Hopefully cool though. The bull says, "Are you into NFTs?" I mean, I have a few here and there, but I don't like. I'm not the guy to go to for that. I don't spend my time studying that. I spend my time looking at fucking charts. So a little bit less sexy than Bored Ape Yachts Clubs or whatever the hell. Any thoughts on that virtual land that launched yesterday? I have no thoughts. I have no worthwhile opinion. I have no qualified opinion on that. You know, you should probably check out someone like Elio Trades. He's going to be the guy for NFTs. For me, I just look at them and it's like, oh, it's cool, but I'm not the person who asks about that. You know, and I'm not to say that like I'm a hater of NFTs. I think NFTs will certainly have their place in the world. It's just where will that place be, and how valuable will that place be as well? Those are questions that I'm not qualified to answer, nor should I even give an opinion on. I don't know. Man. I'm sorry. Groove moves. Groove moves says near USD on the hourly. Okay. All right. Let's see where we're at on this one. I remember we looked at this one several times last week. We were looking for a bounce off of the $10 region. Did we get a bounce off the $10 region? Yeah, we did. Hey, not bad. I do think that this one can actually trade up a little bit more this week. I know you didn't ask about it, but you know, could reach as much as like $13 if it wants. But overall, I'm looking for this one to break down further, actually longer term, probably finding a potential low at around 9.25 or so. You know, it's still an uptrend to be fair, but I don't like the way that the rest of this market's going. Then again, I look at the monthly and I could be phenomenally wrong about this. Let's go over here because I see a lot of people asking about near, so I'm going to do just a general overview on this one. Daily, what's most likely thing to happen right here in the short term? I do think that it probably gets another continuation move somewhere around $12.75 to $13. Yeah, I generally think it's going to get one more drive up there. You know, could even get up to like, I would actually call this one macro bullish with the lows in, with any sort of a daily closure above $15, which I believe is the same area that I gave last week. It would be the same thing here as well. Until then, short-term timeframes, I do think rally, but I'm not calling a reversal on the higher-term timeframes. Yeah, I actually don't think that I have a really good opinion on this one long-term right now. I do think it can very easily hit about 13 to 13.25, but I don't change around, or I don't have like a strong opinion on like macro continuation as long as you're below about 15 specifically. Above 15, that's an easy call for macro continuation to the upside. Until then, I'm just looking for short-term continuation to the upside. And, you know, if you see rejection, especially in like the mid 13s, that would be a good sign that this one is very likely to come back down and retest these $10 lows, or a little bit lower than that, to be fair. Cool. Let's see. I see another person asking about near as well. Jesus Christ, man, so many nears. Can you show why you're looking for $10? Was not based off the hourly. I'll tell you that. The hourly has nothing to do with $10. So if you're looking at the hourly, again, I'm actually looking up from here. Mainly just going off of divergence signals and volatility signals to accompany them. Yeah. Let's see, where did I leave off? It was Mr. Ahmed. Looking at AVAX 4 on daily. Yeah, let's, much love to you as well, sir. I'm going to record this one. I'd also like to do Ethereum as well. Yeah, very similar to the other chart, short term up. Let's see, maybe we start off over here on a weekly. Yeah, okay. Here we have Avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. It did not just hit our target from last week. It actually overshot it by a little bit. The target was 62 to 64, I believe. And it actually even closed a little bit below there. So this week, I am looking for it to likely rally up here early this week. Can very easily short-term hit around 61.60. I actually wouldn't even mind to move up towards about 65.5, but nothing really changes on the higher term timeframes here as far as some potential macro bearishness, especially as long as you're below $80. So it's kind of a long way up for right now. So short term can very easily rally up. Wouldn't be surprised to see, again, move towards about 66. But overall, I do look at this one as a macro downtrend emerging, as we have 1, 2, 3 lower highs. We get in our first lower low right here, or like very obvious one, I should say. And 5-day RSI is dipping its toesy woesies into the bearish control zone for the first time in years, actually, going back to May 2021. So long term, you are still within a bouncy area as far as this goes. Something like this is what I'd be doing. But I do suspect that after a bit of a short-term rally here to open up this week, probably does drop back down somewhere around low 50s, let's say, and that's where I'd be looking for, or at least expecting, a greater bounce from if it is going to potentially bottom out there. Obviously below $50, I do look for this one to absolutely catastrophically fall towards about 39 to 33 before the next potential major stop. But until then, short-term timeframes, I am looking for continuation up here, but higher-term timeframes bearish. Let's just go reference stochastic momentum over here, because I want to see if that lines up with what I'm saying or what I'm thinking. 4-hour is showing upside above 57.5. Now this is a corrective signal with very high volatility, so going into contraction phase right there, not the best. Daily is also going to cross up with a daily closure today above $59, which is currently well above, so that's good. So again, I do think that it probably opens up this week on a bounce. Even $66, certainly not out of the question here. But higher term time frames like the 5-day still nosediving below $80. So $80 is my pivot for calling a macro bottom here, actually. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be my sort of criteria for that. Weekly is pivoted at $84 in this case. I'm curious if the monthly even populates. It doesn't really matter, to be fair. So ultimately, what does that likely align with? Short-term bouncy, higher-term timeframes, though, as long as you're specifically below $80, I do look at anything as, your next lower high and very likely getting ready for another move back down towards these mid $50 to low $50 lows. Probably another short-term bounce there. And then, long-term, would not be very surprising to see this one somewhere down around the low 30s before the next potential macro low in this case. Hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Avalanche. Again, probably going to take some time as well, man. Probably going to take some time. Let's see, astrological ether tarot. What is that? Can I get your thoughts on Filecoin? Has it bottomed? It depends what time frame you're on. I'm guessing with a question like that, you're probably asking has it bottomed for forever and it'll never go lower? The likelihood of that is Sir, it's never known what an uptrend is. I don't think I'd feel comfortable saying it's bottomed for forever. Holy shit, this is a continuation, if anything. I do think you found a short-term bottom, yes. Probably does rally up here. Could very easily rally north of $16, maybe even 17.25. But long-term, heavily fucking macro bearish. Oh my god, man, this one, especially as long as you're below 21.5. I would be looking for this one to undo the whole rally that you've seen started in October 2020, probably sometime between now and the end of the year. Short-term bouncy, very fucking weak long-term. Here's what the real chart looks like. Absolute fucking garbage as far as the chart goes. I'm not talking about the project. I'm sure that you have your reasons why you love the project, assuming that you're in it or something like that. I'm just purely talking about charts right here. Heavily fucking bearish as long as you're below 21 and a half to $23. Any rally is just another lower high. I'm very likely looking for downside continuation. I mean, this to me is another fresh breakdown. So short-term rally probably gets rejected somewhere $17 or something like that, if I had to guess. I would only call a reversal back above. I wouldn't even give it the benefit of the doubt. I'd say 23 and a half. In my experience, not very wise to reward or be lenient on things that only ever go down. It's 93% off of all-time high. Oh, thank you for letting me know. You want to know something crazy? I'm sorry, man, but I have to do this. You want to know something fucking crazy? Sir, the problem with 93% off of all-time high, which you are right, it is about 93 or 94% off of all-time highs. The problem with that is that you can always go another 90% down, sir. And it's a long way until you even get to fucking $1, where something like this probably does belong. Another 80% move to the downside brings you to $3. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing well within the single digits around maybe end of year, something like that, man. Again, heavily fucking bearish below about 23.5. Back above there, hey, I call some reversals and big targets up towards 35 to 40 bucks. AK, good morning to you, sir. Floki Inu short term. Don't know what that means to you, but I'll just... What the fuck is this thing? Actually, I started watching the new Vikings. It's good, man. I like it. I really liked it. I just saw the first episode. God fucking damn it, man! What's up with these shitcoin charts? I don't know which one's worse, the other one or this one. They're both pretty bad. They both... I mean... No, this one's been banned from the moon. But if you're around in 2017 and 2018, you've seen this a million goddamn times. You know very likely what happens next. You're probably going to get a pity bounce here. You're at your macro all-time lows. But a pity bounce is not the same goddamn thing as a reversal. No talk to reversals as long as you're below whatever the hell this area is right here. Any rally towards... I'd even be looking at any rally towards here is likely to get rejected, even if it does get a fucking rally. Long term, very likely more downside, very likely trades below its all-time lows, assuming this is its all-time lows. But short term, can it bounce here? Yeah, and it sounds like you are short term, I think. So let's go down to me, a short term means like a 4 hour. I think you could very easily rally back up somewhere around like 166,500. If things really get crazy, somewhere around about 200,000. But again, not the same thing as reversal. Personal opinion. Hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. Maybe you're like on an hourly. Again, I do think things are generally primed to bounce here. I think they're generally primed to bounce here. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful though. Let's see. Okay, I think we have Sass and Cal next. Yeah, I just did it. Okay. Okay, silver cross to the downside on Luna daily. Let's go check it out. This would also be a good one to record, I think. Usually a topic of hot consideration, I guess. Back up to $83. Having a better bounce than most other things, to be fair. Relative strength it is showing, but well, relative strength is showing. Anyways, okay, so you're looking at silver cross to the downside. Thoughts on shorting the bearish tracement at 86 bucks. Let's see. So I'm guessing you're doing something like this. So you're looking at the 0.5 at 86. I mean, you know, anywhere around these three retracement levels is kind of where I look for on lower highs. If you are going to continue trend to the downside, yeah, the silver cross is setting up. Is this going to be a good one? Yeah, I mean, with volatility this low, this could very easily be a trend play right here. But short term, I do think it will be up. So let me record this one. All right, let me get rid of this over here. We don't need that right now. Here we have Terra Luna symbol LUNA versus the dollar. We have hit our downside target from last week's analysis down to like the $75 to $76 region. Okay, we got 76.5. Krown's wrong. Hang him and burn him alive too. But right now, I would be looking for this one to bounce up on the short-term timeframes after hitting a target like that. Wouldn't be asking for too much to trade back up somewhere around about $86 or so. That would also be in line with the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. And I would go as far to say that, you know, even up to the 618, which is $89, is fair game. This one is showing relative strength in the short-term timeframes. But the problem is that as long as we're specifically below on a daily closing basis, let's just say $90 to make it a nice round even number, I do look at this one as likely to trade further to the downside after playing out this bounce. And in downside, you know, long-term targets would still be somewhere around the 200 simple here, which is not that much lower, to be fair, you know, somewhere around about $70 to $71. With that in mind, let's go and reference the weekly, and then let's go reference the lower term timeframes. Weekly is not really giving me anything super obvious right here, to be fair, so I think we'll just pass on that. 5-day, bit of a head and shoulders reversal right here. You know, again, can very easily trade up into the deeper $80 regions, but ultimately the 5-day does say that on a break of $70, on a break on like a higher term time frame closure, like at least a daily, I would be looking for a much deeper retracement somewhere around about 65 or so. If we go reference stochastic momentum, I'm going to guess that short term is probably up and higher term timeframes are probably down. So let's go see. 4-hour time frame, yeah, upside momentum as long as you're above about 78.80, which you are very much above right now, so that's good. 6-hour is same thing, basically $79, and 12-hour is freshly crossing up above 78, and daily will also cross up above 89, so maybe a little bit further away, but very likely does rally up a little bit more here. Again, I'd probably be looking somewhere in like the mid to deep $80 region. I mean, you're basically already there, so that's not even helpful. Somewhere around like $88 or so, let's say. However, the 5-day and the weekly, nosediving below 107, and weekly is going to be freshly crossing down below 111, which is, I believe, your last weekly high. No, it's basically your all-time high. But I would go as far to say that the downside long term, and again, we're talking about long term downside, short term upside. The long term downside, with potential targets not just back down to like $70, but maybe even 65, will be negated with any sort of a weekly closure above $100, very specifically, or 99 if you want to be super exact. Kind of one and the same for me. In this case, until that happens, I do look for this one to likely trade further to the downside over a long period of time, but short term, likely some upside. I think we also got potentially 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence on the monthly RSI right there building. That'll be confirmed, not this month, obviously, but potentially next month with any sort of a closure below that $70 region. And at that point, very likely looking actually somewhere in the mid 50s. So 55 to $60 or so, if that were to happen. But for right now, very likely rallies here. I'm sure that we have maybe even divergence building up on a daily. No, because it didn't close on new lows, to be fair. So it is showing relative strength. That's a good sign, but I would not call any reversals here until I wouldn't even cite hopium here as long as you're closing dailies below 92. If you want to go by the book, it would be about 98. At that point, I'd be massively bullish on this one, retargeting prior all-time highs and probably new all-time highs not to come soon after that. Other than that, if the rest of the market trades down, I suspect that this one probably goes with it as well. So hopefully that was helpful when they go for Luna, sir. Cool. We have Aaron Depp next, I think. Heyo, been a long time. All good, man. Thanks, brother. And hope that you are doing well, sir. I don't know if you're able to pull up the chart, but if yes, SHDW. Okay, Genesis Go. All right. Maybe let's try it. I don't think this is what you're talking about. Genesis Go. This is sharding down. Sounds smelly. Is what it sounds like. I'm guessing this is not what you're talking about. Yeah, and this. You already know my analysis on this one, man. Yeah, I can't unfortunately pull that up on TradingView. It looks like they do not host it, so it must be very, very new or something like that. Let me just scroll back around here. Let me see what we got. I think we have Sam Dumu next, number 41. You're looking at Ape. Okay, so Ape was a very interesting one last week. It was one of the few ones I was bullish. I think we were looking for on Friday one more continuation move to the upside and then probably a high. Did we get that? Hold on, let me just see. Okay, last Friday was when? Last Friday was the 29th. Okay, we almost got a new high. It tested the prior all-time highs. I do think that you found a top here though. You're on a full hour, however, so that's not really relevant to you. Short term, just like most other things in this market, I do think you're setting up for a bounce. In this case, really wouldn't be asking too much to get somewhere back around about $18.50 to $19, $19 to $20. I adjust that. But I do think that you found a top for a while, and at best are going to be trading sideways in that $20 to $15 channel, and probably does find a potential low around 15 before initiating like another another bounce. But this one, from what I understand, had like a big event surrounding it, stuff like that. As always, when you have something like that, typically going to get faded, but short term, I do think it's going to bounce up a little bit more here, maybe around like $19. And I would call a reversal towards, I guess, prior highs. I don't know where can we go on this one with an hourly closure of about 22.5. Until then, though, I'm generally looking for a lower high somewhere around here. Oh, I guess I kind of already have a thing in there, like low $20 or at most. So hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. Charles McIver, KNC daily and weekly. Okay, so this is Kyber Dark Crystal, and you're on a daily, very high term time frames. Nice. Again, I think that you found a top here for a while. Should have, a little bit of bearish divergence, not anything like super concerning long term, but short term, do you rally back up somewhere around $5? Possible, yes, but I'm bearish on this chart as long as you're below 533 on a daily closing basis. Weekly, I think that you've generally found a high right here, and you'd probably pull back below $4 over the next month or two. Areas of interest for me would be about 4 to 390, and would be a first one, and then a big one down around about 330. Let's just see what that lines up with as well. Yeah, $4 and basically 345, and then like and I'd actually switch around to being long-term bearish on it below about 290 on a higher term time frame closure. Until then, pullbacks are higher lows and long-term bullish, but I do believe that you're very likely initiating a pullback here long-term. Short-term might have a continuation on this bounce. I don't have strong opinions on that. Nikki Page says, best lessons are the ones we fail. Then if we are good students, we learn from our mistakes. If not, the universe gives us, if not, the universe has a very nasty and sadistic way of spanking us until we learn that fucking lesson. I'm right there with you. I mean, that's very, very true. You know, what's the old saying? The old saying goes, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. I hope, although I know just because I've gone through this myself, that it's very difficult to learn from someone else's mistakes, which is why, you know, very few people do it. We typically have to make our own mistakes, which is unfortunate because those can be, rather emotionally traumatizing, which is typically the ones that actually can produce the most change. In fact, anyways, Paul Garrett says, fellow tarnished. Oh my fucking man. I like where this one's going. Can you take a look at near USD 4-hour and daily? We actually looked at this one a couple times already, but I'll just briefly go back here for you. Elsa's been making shorts off of my, Elden Ring vids. You know, short term, again, I think it extends a rally, maybe 1260. If things get really crazy, about just under $14. But long term, I think that you got at best a range going on as long as you're below about 15 and a quarter there on a daily closing basis. What was I looking at right here? Yeah, you know, generally speaking, if it rallies back up into like the mid, maybe even deep $13 region, I kind of look at that as the next likely region for a bit of a pushback and lower high in your short-term timeframes, and probably plays out an overall range on the macro here between your between like your $16 closing bases and like 9 1/4 to $10. I did a little bit more of a detailed analysis on it earlier, so when the video is posted, Elsa will put in the timestamps, and then you can check that one out. Mr. Tokyo channel, what's up, brother? Haha, there he is. The dollar yen. You know what's funny, man? I was we've been looking at this past week, and I'm like, where the fuck is Tokyo channel? This is the move that we've been looking for like 2 years to play out. Finally, fucking played out. You know what I'm gonna say on this one, man. Long term, mega macro, fucking bullish. That's a quarterly, monthly, same thing. It's a breakout on volume, very likely going to get continuation, but does it pull back first somewhere around 126.5 to 125 even? Possible, yes. Long term, however, massively fucking bullish, or at least I'd have to be. But yeah, short term can very easily open this month up on a pullback. Weekly starting to really get like really fucking extreme here, but I suspect that we got maybe one more week of trying towards new highs, and then probably a pullback into like next week or maybe later this week as things are starting to get like really fucking extreme here. But long term, you know, if you're looking at a monthly, if you're looking at a quarterly, I don't think this one's done just yet. In fact, we could maybe come up with some areas of interest long term, or I've already done it here, but I guess the next one that's relevant is about 131. I mean, you kind of already got that one. The next one after that is about 135 almost. Above there, things get really crazy up to like 150 or so. But yeah, really amazing move right here. You know what's fun, or maybe not so funny, but hidden bullish divergence on the quarterly plus extreme lows on quarterly BBWP. What else has a similar setup to this, but not as advanced within that setup just yet? It's fucking Dixie, man. Look, it hasn't broken its highs just yet, but very likely going to see a similar move towards that on Dixie. Hidden bullish divergence, extreme lows on quarterly BBWP. I would not be surprised at all to see this trading at like 110 in the next few years. Okay. Astrological Ether Tarot is back. Sushi Swap, 4-hour and long-term timeframes. Okay, this is my first bear market. Oh, it's your first bear market. Well, take off your pants and get ready for further ramming, sir. 4-hour. Short-term bounces, maybe to like 255 to 260 is possible. 290 if things get really extreme on the short term. Daily, garbage, absolute fucking garbage. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing like really unravel its whole rally and come back down to like 130, maybe even 110 long term over the next few months. There's going to be bounces in between. Again, this one can even bounce up short term towards like, what was it, 260 maybe? Oh, sorry, like 280. But long term, you know, among some of the not so nice charts that we've seen today, I would only call a reversal and back up, you know, and basically bullish, I guess, if you can start to trade back above $5 as that was your last major swing high. Till then, long term extremely bearish. Yeah, no, yeah, just look at the fucking monthly. Just god awful. God fucking awful. Nil says daily IOTX. Okay. IOTX. All right. USD. Okay. What is this? Yeah, not as bad, but I'd just be looking for a month this range between about 7.5 cents and kind of where you're at right now. You're looking at daily. Okay. Let's see. Is this one likely to bounce more? I think short term you can bounce back up towards 6.5 cents. That wouldn't really do anything for me long term, but short term can bounce up a little bit more. You know, you probably have some bullish divergence being formed here on confirmation of the next local low, but long term, I do expect you got some more downside here. Probably finding a greater bounce somewhere just below 5 cents, somewhere around there is where I'd be looking for. Maybe even that's going to be it. Yeah, maybe. But long term, you know, I do look for further downside, especially as long as you're closing weeklies below about 9 cents. And the daily, like if it wants to bounce back up towards 6.5 cents, that's fine. I think at best it's going to do 7 cents. Until then, I'm generally looking lower, man. This one on the monthly, like if it does start to break down, there is pretty significant downside there, but I don't think that's relevant just yet. I'd be looking for greater bounces off like the 5 cent region or so, which is pretty close to. Got pretty close there. Got 5.5. Okay, let me scroll back up here, and I think we have Bang Average Rider, BAR. I just did nil, sir. I just did nil. FTM range until Wednesday, new low after 60s hit. Is that, I'm guessing that's just like a comment, not like a request. I don't know. Range until Wednesday, new low after hit. I mean, this one's literally just broken down on the macro here. I think it could rally up short term to like 90 to 95 cents if it wants, but long term, wouldn't be surprised at all to see this one down in like the mid 50s. You know, over the next few months. Monthly free fall. Yeah, short term can very easily you know, on a monthly it might even rally up towards like $1 if things get really, really crazy. But this is for all intents and purposes a high, I do think. Bearish divergence. You've already just absolutely wrecked that target, so probably looking for a bounce first and then down to like mid 50s or so and maybe gets a low there, maybe. But I don't think that you're really even I don't think that's really a question. So, fair enough. I'd call a reversal above 1.5, kind of far away, but that's where I do it. Bless you, sir. On hell says GMT on the hourly and 4 hour. Okay. Want a short, but near the bottom. Well, the good old saying goes, nothing is ever too high to buy and nothing is ever too low to sell. 1 and 4. Near the bottom, you say? What the fuck is this? It looks like this one. Okay, I see what you mean. I would not. I think that this one pops back up towards 370 ish. Hourly, same thing. Yeah, I think that this one generally is going to pop back up here somewhere around like 365 to maybe even as much as 375. Yeah, I would not short the range lows. You'll have a range break and range resolution below about 330 with targets down probably around about basically $3 if that were to happen. Until then, I think short term you probably rally. Got another drive of hidden bullish evidence right here. I don't think it's going to be a super powerful one with volatility looking like that, but you know, probably does get a bit more of a short term continuation. Again, same thing as Bitcoin kind of. If Bitcoin drops out, probably going to drop out with it though. Although this one actually has been doing something consistently different. Yeah, okay. You know what? I take that back. Okay, fair enough. Let's see. Jay Header is looking at AMP for in daily. What? Who? Shane Edwards says, hey, Krown, thanks, man. Can you check out SFM Safe Moon? Oh, dear Lord. I need some content to convince my mate to get out. Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, people, if they want to join a cult, they're going to join a cult, right? So you can't really force anyone to do anything. But I mean, look, man, like if your friend's listening right now, this thing is never fucking known what an uptrend is. Never. Not fucking once. Not fucking once. Not fucking once has it known what an uptrend is consistently on a time frame that actually fucking matters. If this thing even rallied back up to 8,800, it'd still be an absolute piece of fucking garbage! And playing all sorts of sounds like this, sir. And looking exactly like this. And that is where you get your fucking safe moon from, man. There's nothing bullish about this chart long term. Nothing fucking bullish about this chart long term at all whatsoever. As long as you're below, at least at minimum, these highs. This is long term. Now, maybe you have your ideas with the fundamentals, right? With the fundamentals. Well, the thing about fundamentals is that if you do have good fundamentals, you typically don't do this. I think best it does this week is maybe like 6,600 or so, and probably does try a short-term bounce. But long-term, you know, before end of year, I would not be surprised at all to see this one back down where it began, at where this one started, which is like, what the fuck is 200, 300? Yeah, I don't really have anything to add on to it other than that. Yeah, not great, man, not great. Although I do think probably have a short-term bounce here relatively soon, which means Krown's wrong and get in fucking long, baby. This is not financial advice. This is a piece of shit chart, though. Sorry, man. The bull says soul chart for our poor friend, please. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. Mostly the same as other things, right? You know, short-term bouncy, long-term. I mean, long-term, it actually did not break down in the same way that a lot of the super weak charts did. So there's that. The hopium is that you do the LARP lines right here, which are slowly playing out, I guess. I don't know. Should we record a video on this one? Should we not? Fuck it. No, we'll save it for Ethereum. I don't think anyone cares about Solana anymore. You know, I think the hopium here is that you're going to base off of the same area as before, right? That'll be completely invalidated with a daily closure, specifically below about $80.50. Until then, you know, short term, do you rally up? Probably continues this rally a little bit more. Maybe even stabs back up towards $95 to $96. Possible here, but long term, you know, quite ugly as long as you're especially below about like 115. You know, what does the monthly look like? How did this one close? Yeah, I'm not gonna like the monthly, man. I do think it might rally up towards $100 or just north of $100 this month, but ultimately I do think it's gonna find some slightly lower lows before it's all said and done, probably around $70 or so. I will be completely wrong on the macro, and this one will be pretty fucking bullish with a move back above the level for invalidation I gave out earlier, about $1.20 to $1.15, $1.20, let's say. $1.22 to be super exact, just this high right here. At that point, I'd probably call a reversal. Until then, I mean, this is kind of like a traditional bear market rally, right? Where you get rejected right at your 200 simple on the daily. You know, that's actually exactly what happened to Bitcoin here too. So fair enough. Okay, what else do we got? Let me scroll over here. Go up, up. Let's see, AMP on the 4-hour and Derper. Okay, AMP, USD. Okay. Still garbage. It's bad last week, it's still bad this week, man. Short term, can it rally back up towards 2 cents, maybe even towards 2.1 cents? Definitely possible. But I believe we hit our downside target on this one, which was 1.9. Yeah. So short term probably gets a pity rally here. I guess, you know, on the rally, if it rallies back up toward above 2.5 cents, I'd call it, you know, a major continuation towards your deep threes. But until then, man, I think that you're just getting a pity bounce off of your last major range lows. Short-term bouncy, long-term, wouldn't be surprised to see this thing again back down kind of where it started from, somewhere around a cent, maybe around end of year. Just ugly charts here, very ugly charts. Webby says, clean spark on the monthly and quarterly. Thank you. All right, cool. Clean spark? I am not familiar with this one, sir. Okay. Oh, it's a stock. It's a real stock. Okay. Nice. A real stock, huh? Bad. Still bad though. Again, rejection right there. Another lower high. Continuation very likely. Probably gonna try for another bounce off of like 560 or so, but I think this one's coming back down to like 255 in the next couple of years here. Again, probably gonna take some time, but ugly. Yeah. So monthly probably tries for a bounce of like 5.5. Let's say the bounce gets back above $14. I'd be macro bullish on that, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think that's very unlikely. I think this one very likely comes back down around those $2.50 lows long term. Near, we already got that one, so we're good. FTM, we already got that one as well. So we Ultimate Gandhi says, give me that gay TA. Yeah, the FTM we already got. If memory serves me correctly, Rolando P is looking at Litecoin hourly and 4. Okay. See what this one is doing. I expect what Litecoin does best, baby. Bless you, sir. 4 hour probably extends it a little bit more. 101, 102 region. Or sorry, you're already at 101, 102 or so. Let's see. Did I actually get filled over here? No fill, motherfucker. Anyways, hourly. you actually will have some natural hidden bearish divergence if you do put in a local high right here. That'll be confirmed with a hourly closure below about 100 and a quarter, with targets back down towards 99 and a quarter to 99 and a half. Yeah. I'm generally inclined to say that things are probably going to continue a little bit more here though first, like 102 region on a 4 hour, but I don't call any sort of reversal here, especially as long as you're below that 104 and a half high. I just think this is a short-term move. Long-term likely continues to the downside. If you're on a daily, again, you have that same sort of potential regular bullish divergence being built here. If it does close, especially like here or higher by end of day, and that can very easily get that next continuation towards those 104 and a half highs. But long-term, the problem with Litecoin here is that you're already on the 200 simple. So to me, that is not an area to get like super bearish on. I mean, you've already played out several pity bounces from this region, but the hopium here is that you spend a few weeks grinding this one out, something like this, and then pop back above specifically this last high on the weekly, which was 130. That would obviously be at least, semi good, with targets back up towards like 180. But long term, I mean, I'm always going to be, look, if Bitcoin dumps out here, you can expect that this thing will dump out significantly more and probably realistically go somewhere down around about $70. Again, long-term, like months down the road, but yeah. BK says ape. Yep, we got that one. Again, I think that, yeah, we got that one. So we're good there. AK says thoughts on dog coins and Elon buying Twitter. Dog coins, mostly garbage, but doesn't mean that you can't make money off of it. Elon buying Twitter. I think, on one hand, I think it's generally a good thing because I think Elon, he's, he has good integrity and, he's generally very, very balanced, which I think is cool. The other side of it that I can kind of take as well is just the simple fact that, like this, you can just buy things and massively influence Twitter is like, that's where most people get their news from, right? So, this time Elon's doing it, which I think he's rather trustworthy, so it's probably fine. But, what if someone who had a shit ton of money did not have good intentions? Probably an issue. Anyways, buying dog coins, I'll just look at Doggy. Absolutely fucking hate this shit, but it's going to rally on news like that. And to be fair, the monthly, like, it's had several chances to break down and hasn't done it. Is this your next lower high right here? Probably yes. Probably going to come back down around those 11.5 to 11 even cent lows. I still look at this one as like long-term macro bearish as long as you're specifically below on a weekly closing basis 16.5. Short-term timeframes, they might rally up with the rest of the market. Don't know, but long-term, I do expect this one to come down further before it's all said and done. I still think probably around 9 cents, maybe something like that. Somewhere between about 9 to 8 cents, if I had to guess. And to give dog its due diligence long term, like it does hold the higher lows on the macro scale. So just like I was going to say Litecoin, but actually this one's better. To be honest, I'm going to say something very, 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 very insane here. I think Doggy has a better chart than Litecoin long term. I don't like either of them, but but hey, if I had to call it, yeah. Anyways, we have Mr. Bull. Hey man, thanks for that, brother. Is Ethereum going to continue its downtrend? Maybe hit 2000. Also bull run, maybe start October. Okay, let's do just a general overview on Ethereum because I think this one's just a generally interesting chart. Let me set it up here. Should redo this chart. Oops. What is this chart made for? Daily? It's not even, okay, not for a daily. So let's just extend this down. Let's just go all the way down to those prior range lows here. Whoops, all the way down, man. Holy shit, all the way fucking down. Let's go all the way to range highs. Okay, let's adjust this so it's not so in my face because that's annoying. And let's go put it up over here and we'll do a video on this one. And it sounds to me like you're more interested in long term. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we start off with short term timeframes just to see. Cool. All right, so here we have Ethereum versus the dollar, and I believe it has hit our blue box target from last week or the weeks prior than that analysis. With that said, bounces are expected off that region. We're kind of already hitting the easy targets from that at just under 2,900 or so. So I would say I would have caution short term between about 28.90 to 29.10 or so. As long as it's below that, it is still an overall downtrend. And just playing out another likely lower high on the shorter term timeframes. That would also actually be around the 0.5 on the daily. So if it does get a bit of extension here alongside the rest of the market, it's kind of where I'm looking for on a bit of a rejection. And to put it bluntly, I do not call any sort of like a potential reversal here at all, especially as long as you're closing dailies below about 3,000 or just above 3,000. So risk does still remain lower. I think the hopium is that you're doing something like this. I don't think that that's a good thing to be going off of. I think diagonal trend lines in general are garbage, and typically people who use them are, well, I don't really see too many people who use them who I think, well, we don't even need to get into that. Basically, I don't see them working out all that often. I'll just put that there. Anyways, so yeah, short-term timeframes, can very easily extend the bounce, but anything below, especially $3,000, is completely meaningless for higher-term timeframes. 5-day and weekly do suggest risk is still lower, somewhere down around the last weekly lows here at about 24.50 to 25.50 or so. I would be looking for another set of bounces there. And yeah, so yeah, this week, whether it rallies up to 29 or 29.50 is kind of irrelevant to me. I think it's definitely possible, but I'm overall bearish as long as this thing's below $3,000, and very likely does beget continuation somewhere down around 25, maybe a little bit below there, in the coming like month or two. With that said, do we have anything obvious right here? We're about to have a downside jewel signal plus very low volatility, which is a nasty setup if that gets confirmed. On top of that, the weekly stochastic is already hinting at a cross to the downside. That will confirm at the end of this week below 31.30. The 5-day, I'm going to guess, has already done it. Yes, indeed it has. Also playing out another trend line regression. I already have it in there. From the last few highs coming in September 2021, and then November, that was the all-time high. So that was this high right here, and then this high right here. So good results on that one for downside. Remains with downside pressure as long as Ethereum's closed in 5 days below about 3,300. So I do believe that risk is still lower here after maybe a short-term time frame bounce. Daily turns down below about 28.25. So short term might bounce up just north of 3,000 if on a good bounce if the rest of the market wants to do it. I don't have a strong opinion on that. My strong opinion is on long-term continuation to the downside, likely somewhere around 25, maybe a wick down to like 23.5 or so, and probably tries for a bounce there. The question specifically is, though, will it hit 2,000? 2,000 is pretty far away from right here. And is it likely? Well, here's the thing. I don't think that 2,000 itself is any like major thing to be aware of. What I think is really important to be aware of is actually a weekly closure on new lows. So in this case, that would be below 2,300. At that point, 2,000, besides being a round psychological even number, I think is completely irrelevant. I think that you will see a continuation move somewhere around about 1,700 or so if that condition is met. Basically around these wick lows from last year, so 17 to 1800 or so. That very likely sets up for a nice bounce, and the hoping would be that that's going to be the next like macro low. And then you're also asking, is the bull run maybe going to start October? No fucking idea, man. I can tell you where I'd be bullish on this. Again, above $3,000 would be a really good start. No questions asked. Massively fucking macro bullish above about 35 or 34.50 or so. I think this is unlikely before downside continuation. But does the bull run start just because it's October? I have no way of knowing that. No way of saying that. And I think that, generally speaking, those sort of projections are good for clickbait, good for views, but not like real analysis. Yeah, man. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Ethereum. I'm just seeing if I'm missing anything else here. Daily, yeah, same thing over here. Maybe 12 hours going to have some, probably a little bit more continuation here, and then I'd be mindful of any sort of a lower high rejection below, especially 3,000. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. Let's see. Alex says, "Good morning, Krown. Can you please check out Colt USD?" Okay, 1 in 4 hour. Did we look at this one earlier? No, I don't think so. It's on BitGet, Gate.io, CoinEx, and Poloniex. What the hell? Okay, 1 hour and 4 hours. So very new here. Very, very new. I always don't like looking at these super new charts because it's not really going off of much, but you can very easily see that there's going to be some hidden bearish divergence on this next rally, especially as long as you're below, what is this, 21,500. So it can rally up theoretically all the way towards like 20,000 and still be, likely to continue on with the downside, or at least retest around your 13 to 14,000 cent lows or something like that. Until then, does it get one more continuation drive up here? I really don't have a strong opinion on this one, man. It's way too new. I would call a continuation towards 19,000 if you do see an hourly closure above 17,300, just these last closing highs right here. Until then, to me, it's just a game of where do you find the next lower high. Again, very, very new chart. So as always, I want to say that I'm not too confident on a chart like this. And yeah. Nick Sand says, weed, when moon. Is this a thing? Is this real? Oh, god damn it. I got fucking trolled. Unless you're talking about weed versus Ethereum. Is this it? Or are you looking at a stonk? It doesn't even have any data. What the hell? What about this? Is it this? Is it that? Yeah, I don't think this is a thing, man. I think I'm being trolled on the internet. Devin, thank you for that, brother, but feel free to have a message as well. All right, last one for Mr. Tomiak. Last of the last, and you are looking at LYXE. Okay, LYXE. All right, any exchange, and this is a crypto, not a real stock. All right, KuCoin, I guess, is the one to do. You're looking for a major entry for that May occurrence if Bitcoin dumps to 24 to 28. See major support at $10 and $4. Okay, so it's a hypothetical question. I'd be looking for bounces actually at $9, but Bitcoin dumps out to, let's say, 25. This one probably finds some sort of potential lows at around 7 to 5.5 would be where I'm looking towards. Yeah, so we kind of have similar ideas. $9.50 is going to be a big area. Probably puts in a nice bounce there. If Bitcoin dumps out further, especially below 30, you're probably going to see some sort of a move down towards like 6-ish. Yeah, interesting one right here. What about a monthly? Yeah, not great. Long term, just bearish below $15. So, question is, where do you find that next lower high? If this one catches a bid and the rest of the market rallies up, maybe 12.25 to 13. But ultimately, I'm looking lower. Alrighty, sirs and sirs, I am going to be signing off now. That was a nice little Monday. Man, made it through this one, even with the lack of sleep. It's all good. So massive thank you for that. Yeah, we'll be back on with another live stream on Wednesday. Tomorrow will just be a regular uploaded video. And yeah, wish you well as always. Take care. Massive love to our moderation crew as well as the whole community, keeping everyone safe in Safu and this place nice and running. So with that said, take care and see you hopefully soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it,